It is the first of two races here in Barcelona this weekend in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe. It is a very busy grid, and we are ready for the first of the two 50-minute races. Cars are already on track, David Addison trackside, and it is not quite the end of the season because the Lamborghini Super Trofeo family all get together at Misano in November for the final European, Asian and indeed North American races on the Thursday and the Friday, and then they go to the world final part of the weekend. So it's the penultimate event, and therefore after this still 3 more races to go. Pole position for this first race claimed by Enzo Guarasci, which is his first ever pole position. Guarasci and Knopp now have a 15-point advantage over Guido Luchetti in the championship, and that is 1 race win. Josef Knopp is going to take over that pole position car, and Dakota Jane is down on the grid with Josef Knopp for a quick pre-race word.
Joseph, what a fantastic grid this is. Beautiful to see so many Super Trofeo cars lined up and the sun is beaming down. Now, championship, let's talk about the championship. You're leading the championship right now in Pro. You're obviously 15 points from Guido Luchetti, who is starting in P6 today, so only 2 rows behind you. How are you feeling?
The job needs to be done now. So after the race will be everything much more clear. So for now, just focus on what we have to do, and after will be much easier to recognize whole things around. Now just this race is gonna be crazy because it's pretty hard here with the tires management, but I think we are prepared quite good. So,
what have you done to prepare for the tire management here? Obviously, you said grip was very, very low. So what have you done? What can you do to manage the tires throughout the race?
In this time, Enzo needs to think for me also, because the race is long and the tire's life is not that long. So obviously if you are slower in the end of the race for 3-4 seconds than in the beginning, that means the tires are gone. So we'll be chaotic with the tires management, but I think, like I said, we are prepared for this.
Thank you, Joseph. Good luck.
So that is Josef Knopp, who will take over that car that starts on pole position. And you don't have to have a co-driver, of course. The regulations in Super Trofeo do allow you to race solo if you prefer. Some do, because it gives you lots of track time. Others are very happy to have a co-driver. In some cases, it helps your results. In other cases, it helps you learn. Interesting car on the outside of the front row. Amaury Bonduel and Sebastian Balthazar teaming up. Amaury Bonduel, last year's champion. We haven't seen a vast amount of this year. He did race at Spa, only he got wiped out in the first race, and therefore that was the end of his weekend. Balthazar racing for the first time since the Jerez World Finals last year. Let's get to Adam Patera next. He's on row 2 with Dakota.
Adam, this is an interesting place to start in the grid. You've got 2 very quick drivers in front of you. Amaury only here for 1 race. You've got Enzo, who's feeling pretty ready in front of you. To the side of you, you've got another quick driver, obviously 4th in the championship. This is going to be really important. There's only 62 points to grab up, and you need those 62 points to get in the lead. What's going through your head?
I have full faith in Paul. He's going to do the best he can, and yeah, I think the most important thing for this race is to collect as many points as we can, because the championship is obviously really close, and going into the last round, anything can happen. So yeah, we'll just try our best today.
Thank you very much, Adam. Good luck.
So Adam Patera back with Paul Levette, who missed the Nürburgring races but has rejoined the championship, and indeed they were winners at Monza. Been a reasonable spread of winners, with 2 having gone the way of Guarasci and Knopp, 2 to Fabroni and Pedrini, 1 to Guido Luchetti, 1 to Jerzy Spinkovics, and 1 to Silas Rutter and Anthony Pretorius, 1 to Adam Patera, you've just heard from, and Paul Levette. Jerzy Spinkovics, having mentioned his name, I ought to point out, not racing. He had a big accident in testing a week or so ago, and sadly that car very badly damaged, so not able to take part this weekend. As we get ready for race 1. Race 1 of Lamborghini Super Trofeo here in Barcelona then is getting closer to the formation lap being underway. The safety car has just blasted away from the grid. The grid is being cleared and gradually we are going to be in business. 4 races before the end of the championship season, although Pro-Am could be sewn up here this weekend. Stefan Guerin and Georgi Dimitrov have had a most amazing season with 5 race wins. They are 39 ahead. There are 16 points available for each race, with 1 for pole and then, of course, the 15 for the race win. So it is feasible, if they have a really good run this weekend, that they could head to Misano as champions. There's Benedetto Strignano, who lines up 5th. He's had his first pole position. Ethan Brown is on the grid for the first time, another of the Lamborghini Young Driver programme members. Let's hear from Ethan with Dakota.
Ethan, first time ever on a Super Trofeo Europe grid. Obviously coming from Super Trofeo Asia, what's it like coming over here? Obviously you're starting very far back on this grid, so I guess you know the competition is pretty high here.
No, absolutely. It's an absolute joy to be in Europe for the first time, obviously coming from Asia. And yeah, the competition is super high, Dakota. It's a really good place to cut your teeth, and I'm really happy that we're here. Elias did a really good job during qualifying, and I'm sure he's going to do an even better job to get up the grid.
What's the challenge for you coming, obviously, all the way from Asia, jet lag, you've got new tracks, especially European tracks, you've got all the European guys who already know the tracks. What's been the biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge so far is probably the lack of practice that we've had, but it's okay. We did well during qualifying, and we're going to be doing even better during the race, so I'm very excited for that.
Good luck. Let's have a little quick chat with Elias, sorry. Elias, what happened in qualifying? You said you were going to be one of the quick ones.
As they say, an inch can be too much. In that case, unfortunately, it was a little bit outside track limits, but it goes to show that we have the pace to be up front, and hopefully we can make our way through that through turn 1 chaos and just pure raw pace that we have as a team. We have a really good car, I have a really good teammate. I think we can put it all together. You
said you're a really good teammate. Good luck, good luck. Thank you very much. Good luck to both of you.
2 drivers from the international championships, Ethan Brown from Super Trofeo Asia and Elias de la Torre from the North America Championship, and they're getting a bit of European experience in readiness of the World Finals at Misano. I know it's a different track, but it's just the feel, the culture, and also doing some more mileage and getting used to driving with different co-drivers too. So we're getting closer to the race start. You can see the 1-minute board is being prepared. It will be a rolling start, of course. Pit window between 20 and 30 minutes, and there is the regulation of the pit stop times being different for the 1 and 2 driver entries. 87 seconds is the pit stop time. If you've got a co-driver, if you're on your own, you have to be in the pits for 90 seconds. As there, number 34 gets ready to go. That's going to be started by Gustav Wisniewski, one of the Oregon team cars with the traditional piratical logo on the side. Wisniewski starting on the 5th row of the grid before Rosario Messina takes over. The Lamborghini Urus, which is the lead car, will take them away on the formation lap, and that is imminent as we get ready for this first race of the weekend. Engines ready to fire, and looking down onto the grid. As ever, we've got the 4 races within one. Pro we've touched on already in terms of the drivers up at the pointy end of the grid. In Pro-Am, the combination of Georgi Dimitrov and Stefan Guerin, 5 wins, 1 to Alessio Ruffini and Milos Pavlovic, 1 to Hugo Bach and Renaud Kuppens, and 1 win to the European GT2 champions of this season, Bronek Formanek and Stefan Rossina. As far as the AM competition is concerned, that is also a very competitive category with a real spread of winners across that this year. Adrian Lewandowski has had a victory, 4 wins to Pier Giacomo Randazzo and Stefan Tribodini, 1 to Paolo Biglieri, and now 2. In fact, they dominated the Nürburgring weekend. Massimo Ciglia and Piero Parolini. And in the Lamborghini Cup, Karim Ogier has been the man to beat there with 5 wins to 1 for Adalberto Baptista, 1 to Holger Harmsen, and 1 to Gerhard Watzinger as well. So very shortly, the grid is going to be released. The countdown completed, and then everybody ready to go. Behind the Urus, then the Lamborghini Huracan, the base car for this championship. Lamborghini Squadra Corsa having picked up and really developed the series from being an AM racer's playground into very much a place where, yeah, if you're an AM, you can still be competitive, but you can come into this as a career racing driver wanting to make a name in GT racing. And it certainly helped many go through the ranks onwards and upwards. Green flag waved, everybody released then onto the formation lap, the Barcelona circuit, which is the shortest at just under 5K on the Endurance Cup calendar for GT World Challenge Europe. And it's good to have Super Trofeo back as a regular part of the package with SRO events this season. They spread their wings a bit last year, and it's good to have Super Trofeo back. So the cars turning their way through turn 3. Enzo Guaracci is going to start on pole position with the returning Amaury Bonduelle lining up with him at the front. Second row of the grid, Paul Levesque and Georgi Dimitrov on that row, with Benedetto Strignano starting 5th, his first pole position, and Guido Luchetti going solo as well. He starts 6th. Patrick Frabroni will go from 7th, double winner this year, and Milos Pavlovic, always a quick driver, 8th, ahead of the massively experienced Stéphane Lemeray, and then Gustav Wisniewski lining up alongside. It is going to be Kalle Bergman on the 6th row, sharing with Mans Tallinn, and then Stefan Rossina alongside, ahead of Silas Rutter and Hugo Bach, class winner this year in Pro-Am. Anthony Nara is on row 8 alongside soloist Adrian Lewandowski. Massimo Ciglia comes next, lining up alongside Paolo Biglieri. On the 10th row of the grid, there is Karim Moget, and alongside is Shotram Karsava. Next up comes Pier Giacomo Randazzo, and Donovan Privitello will start alongside in number 8, Privitello Jr. Then it is Severin Mazur and Ka Hing Tse. The 13th row is where you find Elias de la Torre, who we heard from earlier on, and Claude-Yves Gosselin going solo, ahead of Holger Harmsen and Adalberto Baptista soloist all. Jeff Courtney, new to the championship, sharing with Fred Roberts, is on row 15 alongside Alfredo Hernandez Ortega. Then it is Francesco Turzo and Philip Tang on the penultimate row, ahead of Christian Bortolato and Serge Doms to round out the 34-strong grid. So up towards turn 12 they come, getting now in the Noah's Ark side-by-side formation. The Urus will dive for the pit lane. It's then going to be up to Enzo Guaracci for the Oregon team versus the BDR Competition car of Amaury Bonduelle to control the pace down towards the lights. When they change, we will go racing. 50 minutes on the clock for Super Trofeo race 1 of the weekend. Fantastic looking cars, symphonic sounding cars, and we are almost ready to go then as the field now trickles its way out of turn 13 down into the right-hander at the foot of the hill, turn 14, and then onto that long pits straight. We are ready to go in race number 1 of the weekend in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe here at the Circuit de Catalunya, part of the Festival de la Velocidad, and we are ready for business then. It is going to be Enzo Guaracci against the reigning champion Amaury Bonduelle up towards the line on the second row. Paul Levesque going to be on his toes, number 6 in the VSR car, the white car. It's a slightly untidy start, not quite side by side, but the lights go green and we go racing for the first time this weekend in Super Trofeo, and it's a good start by Guaracci then. He is going to lead on the run down towards turn 1. To the inside line goes Paul Levesque, but he's got 2 wheels on the dirt and has to back out of it. Amaury Bonduelle's gone the long way round on the outside. Is it going to work? No, he gets run out wide because Guaracci's off the road as well. And now they're going to have to rejoin on the allotted line. There are lots and lots and lots of cars off the racetrack. And so now they're able to rejoin, if you like, on that escape road. But Paul Levesque, by staying on the racetrack, has got the race lead. There's a car that's spun in the background and has been rather badly delayed. So all things considered, a really scrappy first corner with so many drivers not getting the car slowed down, not getting it turned in, and having to take to the escape road. In the meantime, though, it is going to be the 57 Amaury Bonduelle car potentially that has got itself into the lead. I think maybe is the answer. But as they drop down towards turn 5, delayed certainly is Guaracci, and Paul Levesque versus Georgi Dimitrov. Another big battle, but Benedetto Strignano it is indeed who has come through into the lead, and that was largely just keeping out of trouble. So Strignano from the 3rd row of the grid leads the way. Guaracci from pole is already down to 4th, and others like Dimitrov has dropped back, and Guido Luchetti has dropped back, and Enzo, yeah, a whole heap of them. Bonduelle dropping to 6th. So very, very messy first corner. The one that's really benefited is Elias de la Torre. 11 places gained in a third of a lap, and a big, big dive on the inside line there. Look, coming down towards the turn 10 left-hander. as up the inside tries to go. The black and gold car, which is number 70 of the hard charging Elias de la Torre. He's now up 14 places and he's not done yet. He's cleared Guido Lichetti, who's having a bit of a mare on the opening lap. So Elias de la Torre from the North American Championship is going great guns. Right, end of lap number 1. Benedetto Strignano leads the way. So after his first pole position for tomorrow's race, he goes by, and Strignano takes advantage at the end of the lap from Paul Levette in second place and Patrick Frabroni in third. Garacci is fourth, Pavlovic is fifth, then it's Bonduel, Lemire, Dimitrov, Rossina and de la Torre to round out the top 10. So at the end of that opening lap, 15 places gained by Elias de la Torre. We definitely need to hear from him in the second stint when he's out of the car from Dakota in the pit lane. That's an amazing first lap, 15 places gained, and he ain't done yet either. So let's see what else he can do. Now, those that lost out on the opening lap, look for those in red that have fallen a long way back, and key to it, Enzo Garacci, the man from pole position, down in fourth place. Amaury Bonduel down in sixth. They're trying to rebuild their races now. Out of turn 5, they all pour. The one that spun, incidentally, on the first corner was, we're being told, number 79, that being the Severin Mazur car, and also number 27, Stefan Lemire, we are told had a spin at turn 14, but he's in 7th place. I'm finding that slightly hard to believe. Down through turn 10 then, of the second time of asking, come the race leaders. So Paul Levette then, the driver that won at Monza in the second race, starting now to get onto the tail of Benedetto Strignano for the race lead. There is Strignano, Levette chasing after him, but Strignano making good his escape right now as the cars accelerate down through turn 13 on the power, and up towards the conclusion of the lap they will pour. So over the timing line, another lap in the book. Everybody comes pouring over the line, and as they do so, Benedetto Strignano's advantage 1.3 seconds over Paul Levette now. And then in third place, Patrick Frabroni, who's been a double winner this year also, trying to get himself into the mix. Big send to the inside line there. Hugo back under attack from Shertrop Karsava, who couldn't quite make it work, but Hugo back way up the curb and a little bit delayed in all of that. So through they turn. Hugo back then coming under huge pressure. And then behind the pair of them, you've got the recovering Wisniewski car. Replay of the start. Now have a look at Garacci. He's so busy trying to defend from Paul Levette. Amaury Bonduel is right there on the outside. And then eventually they get to the end of the straight. Far too deep goes Garacci. And there's nothing that Bonduel can do except go to the escape road in avoidance. He doesn't want contact. Dimitrov runs wide and goes onto the escape road. Another 3, 4, 5, 6 behind do exactly the same thing. So Garacci rather was the undoing of Bonduel, just because he was too deep and Bonduel was hung out to dry on the outside. Rest of the pack then come through, and as they do so, Strignano still clear in that race lead. Frabroni in third place. Now Milos Pavlovic fifth, leading his class. Lemire eighth is a class leader, and Adalberto Baptista 22nd is leading in Lamborghini Cup right now as well. So the cars turning their way through turn 13. There, number 99 is Silas Rutter. And another spin, that's Holger Harmsen who's got it wrong. So facing the wrong way up at 12 by the look of it. Yellow flag shows he's got the car moving. The danger now is that he gets stuck on the curb. No, the engine kicks in, it fires up and he gets away. So Holger Harmsen rejoins, and it was a legacy of contact against Donovan Privitello, and Harmsen bounces off the side and goes round. Was lucky not to get collected in all of that. That was all a bit close, wasn't it? But he at least is able to rejoin the race, albeit now rather delayed. So the race leaders currently work lap 4. And there, down the hill, they drop out of 5 and the kink at 6 before the little chicane and the climb back up towards turn 9. Strignano, 1.3 seconds ahead of Paul Levette. And that gap not particularly coming down. So it looks as though for the moment Strignano has got the measure. Georgi Dimitrov has been recovering and he's back up now into 7th place. Elias de la Torre still in 10th, so having had that mega first lap, he's now got a bit stuck in the traffic, as you see there. Stéphane Lemeray sharing with Rodrigue Gillian going through. Lemeray doing the first stint today. Behind him, Stefan Rossina. So the former Porsche Super Cup racer next up. And another yellow flag is being shown, and that's over at turn 5, we understand, and that's the reason for it. Off into the gravel has gone, as you can see, number 41, and that's the car of Christian Bortolato, and I don't think that's going to get out of there on its own. He's spinning the wheels, and the safety car is called. So the race director, Alain Adon, calls for the safety car. There it is. It will make its way on track. It will pick up the leader in due course, and that means that the race is going to have to be neutralised as a consequence. So safety car on track here, and once the leader is behind the safety car, then the safety car procedure will be instigated, and it means that any gap that Benedetto Strignano have been able to build up is about to disappear. So there is 41, which is stuck in the gravel, and as soon as the race is neutralised, then that car can be dragged out of the way, but only when everybody is behind the safety car is it going to be safe for the marshals to go trackside. So Strignano, Levette, Fraboni, Garacci, Pavlovic, and then Bonduel is that top 6. The field turning through. And safety car conditions are, at the moment, going to force the field to bunch up, and hopefully things will be clear long before we need to worry about the pit window. It shouldn't take too long to get that one car out of the way as the field turns now up through turn 12. So there the field coming out of turn 14, and over the timing line they all crawl now, pace reduced, and the safety car will scoop them up and everybody goes through. So Patrick Fraboni, who dropped back a little bit in 3rd, is going to be a winner, isn't he, because it brings him closer to the pack ahead. And also I think going by is Enzo Garacci going to be a bit nearer, having lost ground early on. So there is the recovery operation. Everybody's going to bunch up ahead, so it gives us a kind of reset now going into the next part of this opening stint of the race. So there's the race lead car. Benedetto Strignano turns through, and behind, now getting closer, it's going to be Paul Levette, and he'll be on his toes, I should think, ready for the resumption of the race. And in 3rd place, Patrick Fraboni. So don't think any damage has been done, as you can see, to the car of Bortolato, now being hoiked out of that gravel bed. But once it's on the back of a recovery vehicle and out of harm's way, then we should be able to get things back underway here in this opening race of the weekend here at the Circuit de Catalunya. They're going through is number 33, that being the Pro-Am leading Miloš Pavlovic, who, as ever, is having a good run. Pavlovic coming through to win his class earlier on in the season when he and Alessio Ruffini won the first race at Spa. That car ran by the ASR team. So Bortolato's car almost done. Yellow flags still shown as the field turns through up to the end now of lap number 6. So through they turn, over the timing line. Strignano, Levet, Fraboni, Garacci, Pavlovic and Bonduel is the order. And there, Bortolaso still in the car, and the car will be put down on the ground very shortly, out of harm's way, and then we should be able to go back to racing. We're about 7 3/4 minutes off the pit window opening, so time to get this done and the race back underway, but it doesn't give the drivers in stint 1 who are there to be quick and try and build a gap for their co-driver like Pavlovic that much of an opportunity so to do now. So downhill comes the safety car, past the incident zone. And Benedetto Strignano up front, leading the way. So safety car still on track here in Barcelona, but it's in this lap. Number 90 is under investigation. That's Holger Harmsen for dramas earlier on. But it is Benedetto Strignano then, who came from the Carrera Cup Italy Championship through into Super Trofeo last season. And he's the race leader. It's going to be up to him now to control this restart. The safety car will peel in. And let's see what he's going to be able to do at keeping Paul at bay for another 6 minutes, give or take. Of course, the other element to all of this is that Strignano will go to the end. He's a soloist, so that car can do the pace it's done already pretty much to the end of the race, whereas Levet will give way to Adam Patera, and in third place, Patrick Fraboni will also have a driver change. That's another car that's made good progress up the order. So we are back racing then as the green flag waves. Up towards the timing line they go. We are back up and running then here in Barcelona. 7 laps are in the book and 5 minutes are on the clock pretty much before we get to the pit window opening, and there you can see Strignano trying to get the pressure and the warmth back into the tyres as well as break the toe down towards turn 1. And are we going to have any messy driving this time like we did on the original start with people slithering off on the escape road? The answer so far is no. Strignano's car just looking ever so slightly untidy as it came up towards turn 2 there as the power came back in, but Strignano trying to get away then from Levet in second place. And Holger Harmsen is being given a 5-second penalty for causing a collision, and so also number 79 of Severin Mazaya. He's being given a 5-second penalty for causing a collision. So driving standards certainly being clamped down on. With only 7 laps done. There you can see another effort being made as further back in the pack, number 10 challenging on the inside line to no avail. Doesn't quite work though there for Guido Luchetti. He is a man that's got to get on with the programme somehow to claw himself back into the mix, because Luchetti is down in 11th place, make that 10th now as he gets up the inside of De La Torre and goes through. So Luchetti charging, and De La Torre very nearly losing out there as well. Look to Calabayman as they come down towards turn 9. At 10, though, Garacci is on his toes to get past Fraboni. Doesn't work for third place, but almost does. You've got 33 Miloš Pavlovic next in the queue as well, leading Pro-Am. So a very different little battle pack now has formed, hasn't it, for third, fourth and fifth places, with Fraboni ahead of Garacci and then Pavlovic next up as the cars accelerate again down towards turn 12. 13 is next here as they plunge down the hill. Track limit's a big key part of turn 13. You can get done for using them by exploiting the curb on the inside and the outside of that corner, so you've got to be really careful. And then 14 brings you onto the pit straight, And now 8 laps are in the book for Benedetto Strignano there in the white, blue, black car that is again getting away from in second place Paul Levette. Fraboni is still third, and he's managed to get away a little bit maybe this time from Garacci. Then Pavlovic, Bonduel and Guido Docetti into the top 10 at the expense of Elias de la Torre, now getting on with the job and hunting down Stefan Rossina. You see the field pouring through, including towards the rear of the field. Then the cars Serge Doms and Severin Matsur. So there's the leader, Strignano, and he is getting away. And if anything now, Paul Levette having to fend off the challenger, Patrick Fraboni. There's not much to choose between those two. So for the 9th time, round turn 4 they go. And then the run out of that hairpin down the hill. Pavlovic then fending off Georgi Dimitrov, and this is for Pro-Am honours now. Georgi Dimitrov, who's been an outright race winner this year with Stefan Guerin, and a challenge made by Garacci on the inside. That was brave, going into turns 7 and 8, and Garacci trying to squirm to the inside line there, but it still doesn't quite work as Patrick Fraboni is able to stick out his elbows and hang on to position. So some good racing going on right now. Garacci, remember, started on pole, squandered that with his mistake at the first corner, but as they come down now in towards turn 10, again, Garacci tries to dive up the inside, and so does Dimitrov, trying to get up the inside of Pavlovic. Georgi Dimitrov, who came to prominence really initially in Formula 4 in the UK, British single-seater racing, but has made the switch to Super Trofeo, and this year particularly has been really impressive, not only in terms of the 5 class wins, but a couple of outright race wins as well, beating all the cars in Pro. Pavlovic in 33, Dimitrov in 13. They are together for the lead of Pro-Am. And then behind them, there, Stefan Lemre, the leading Am. So 6th, 7th, 8th, Pro-Am, Pro-Am and Am. As over the line goes the leading Pro car, Benedetto Strignano, 1.3 seconds the advantage that time around. Georgi Dimitrov is almost close enough to make a dive on the inside. There is Stefan Lemre, the massively experienced Belgian journalist racer. Goes out of turns 1 and 2. There's not much that Stefan hasn't raced over the years, and he was a class winner at the end of last year in Asian Le Mans in Malaysia. He has been a class winner this year in Super Trofeo. He's an inveterate enthusiast and finds something to race every season and has done for a long, long time. Challenge made on the inside there, look, by Shotrup Karzava, trying to squeeze through on the inside of the Paolo Biglieri entry, but to no avail. Karzava still fighting, and Biglieri gets himself out wide onto the dirt. A contact coming down towards turn 5. That's going to damage the suspension, I would have thought, on Biglieri's car. He got it all wrong, tried to sort of recover, dive back up the inside, bounces off Karzava's car, and I wonder whether Shota might have a puncture out of all of that. It certainly looks like the suspension is damaged, but what about the tyre has gone as well? I think it has, left rear potentially in the contact. So Biglieri gets ahead of him, and yes, tyre down. So Shotrup Karzava is going to try and limp round to the pit lane, and he was the innocent party in all of that. Thankfully, they kept out of the gravel, but as Paolo Biglieri went up the inside, Karzava had committed to the line, contact made, and you can see with the punctured tyre, Shotrup Karzava limps to the pit lane. Biglieri there, on the curb, the back snaps out, there's a gap on the inside, he brakes really late, tries to get back up the inside. Karzava was turning into the corner and bang, but Biglieri actually seems to have got away with that in terms of damage at any rate. Not suggesting he's not going to get a penalty for it, because there you can see the race really is as deflated as the tyre for Karzava, who's going to limp round to the pit lane. The only good news for Karzava here is that the pit window is open, so he can combine that with the pit stop, but it's a slow in lap. The second half of the lap really slow with a puncture. That number 61 coming in is Massimo Ciglia to give way to Pietro Perolini. Oregon car in. Paolo Biglieri in the background coming down the pit lane, and behind Biglieri is going to be Pier Giacomo Randazzo's car. Yes, another one out of the Am battle. Right, so there is Massimo Ciglia out, Pietro Perolini in. The Pirates going to work, the Oregon team. And there's not much you can do in the pit stop, but the one thing you cannot do is get the time wrong, because then the penalties come. So the most important thing of all is to monitor the stopwatch and release the car at exactly the right time. There, going through is number 6. That's for second place now, Paul Levette, fending off Patrick Fraboni and Enzo Garacci, and in so doing allowing the leader Benedetto Strignano to get away. Strignano will have to make a longer pit stop by 3 seconds, don't forget, because he's a soloist against the second place car that is a double driver entry, and the third and the fourth double driver entries both as well. That's the 4th place car, the pole position car, Enzo Garacci challenging Patrick Fraboni once again as they come out of turn 12. And Paul Levette back in the championship, second, coming through turn 13 now down the hill. Over the timing line once more comes Benedetto Strignano, and as he does so, that puts now 11 laps in the book, and Strignano's advantage is not massive, it's 1.4 seconds, but it is an advantage. The largely red and blue and white car there going through the shot was Stefan Rossina, who along with his co-driver here, Bronek Formanek, has won this year's GT2 European Series, and they are currently in 9th place. Rosario Rossina gets ready to take over. Behind Rossina on track is Elias de la Torre, we heard from on the grid. So there is the race leader, Benedetto Strignano, clear now of the pack behind, and 61 has kind of joined in out of sequence, has it not? So that now is a lap down, and it has put into the car Pietro Perolini. He's trying to drive his own race, but also keep out of the way of the quicker cars, one of which is his teammate Enzo Garacci in the other Oregon car. Garacci there dives to the inside as they drop down the hill. So you've got still Fraboni versus Garacci, who's tried that line on the inside in the past at turn 7, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work again now. But he's trying to unsettle Fraboni and make a move here up towards 9. But Fraboni covers off that line as well. Amaury Bonduel is next up. So down into turn 10 goes Strignano, and now that Levette has been able to shake off the challenge of 3rd, 4th, 5th behind, he can concentrate again on closing on Strignano. He hasn't got the pure pace necessarily to do it. Certainly when he's having to defend, it gets very messy, and more contact. Fraboni tagged by Garacci, and around he goes and into the gravel. Patrick Fraboni tries to get the car fired up and get going again, but that surely is going to get looked at. And as Garacci with the flame licking out of the back of the car, with Fraboni with the flame licking out of the back of the car, tries to get going again. I fear he's going to be beached, and another safety car may well be coming, and all of this is in the pit window. Have another look. Garacci on the tail of Fraboni, goes to the inside line, but he was never alongside, just skims the back of the car, but it's enough to turn Fraboni around, and you've got to say that that's really on Garacci. He was never alongside, it wasn't his corner, and the contact has put Fraboni into the gravel. Lots of people now perhaps expecting that the race is going to be neutralised, coming in to make the mandatory stops, including there Hugo Back to give way to Renaud Coupens. Much shaking of the head from Fraboni, partly in disbelief and partly to say, well, I can't drive out of here. I suspect what will happen is that the pit window will be completed, and then everybody has a chance to get the stops done, and then the race will be neutralised to get the car out of the way, because if you neutralise the race under a pit window like this, life becomes ever so confusing. Some people are helped, some are hindered. You could argue that's part of motor racing, but race director Alain Adon potentially will be trying to be as fair to everybody and let the pit window cycle through. Once everybody has made a stop, then neutralise the race. The car will have to be moved. There's an incident vehicle on standby I can see in the distance looking out of my window, but the race for the moment stays green, probably for 5 more minutes before really we can have that window closed, the pit window closed, and move the car. Benedetto Strignano then yet to stop, race leader. And Paul Levette much closer to him at the end of that last lap of a second, and closer again, I think, with that yellow flag, meaning that Strignano couldn't get through the traffic. Now Benedetto Strignano pits, so he, for the moment, gives up the race lead. He's not yet been a winner this year in Super Trofeo, looking for a first Super Trofeo win, therefore. Down the pit road he comes. So now Paul Levette takes over the lead. The incident between Abkazova and Bilieri is under investigation, and surely the incident between Garacci and Fraboni is going to get looked at as well. There is Benedetto Strignano then. Down the pit road he comes, and the Scuderia Viola Corsa car stops. The Italian team goes to work. More and more and more of them pouring down the pit lane now. Stefan Rossina is in, Elias de la Torre is in, Severin Matsur is in, Alfredo Hernandez Ortega is in, so the pit lane getting busier and busier. Bronek Formanek, who, if he's not wearing a crash helmet, always has his trademark woolly hat on. He jumps aboard number 11. That's another car fighting in Pro-Am. 99 here, up the curb. This is Silas Rutter now. Anthony Pretorius has taken over that car, and he's involved in a big, big battle there with Guido Lucetti. So the two of them coming through together. Luchetti has made his stop. So also, because he's in the car, is Anthony Pretorius taking over from Silas Rutter. And Pretorius just about staying ahead at the end of that straight down towards turn 10. 99 then is a Lippert run car for Target Racing. It is Guido Luchetti crawling all over the back there of number 99. Couldn't do anything up at turn 12 because you got the yellow flag out. But it won't be long surely before that car is moved out of harm's way. So for the moment, the race carries on. So there is the race leader getting back into the race and should be able to maintain position. 99 was the best of the stoppers, but you can see now he's starting to fall back in sequence as the others that have pitted start to rejoin the race. The full order can be obviated at the end of the pit window, but 99, Anthony Pretorius just ahead of number 10 there, which is Guido Luchetti. They've both made their pit stops, now trying to chip their way back up the order, and they've rejoined on the tail of Formanek. They should be able to clear Formanek. Not that he's slow, but Formanek not as quick as those around him. So right now, Georgi Dimitrov takes over the race lead because Paul Levette has come into the pit lane. There is Formanek, who is for the minute at least hanging on to position. And you can see that Anthony Pretorius, the South African driver, is having to fend off a hard-charging Guido Luchetti. That's actually helping Formanek as they're to the inside line. Feints Pretorius. I think that was more in hope than in anticipation, and it didn't work for him. He's trying to get past as well as cover off any challenge of Luchetti, and more so cover off the challenge, isn't he? Again, look, the gap widens coming down towards turn 7 because there Anthony Pretorius is so busy keeping at bay at number 10 of Guido Luchetti. Luchetti had a win at the Nürburgring. The Anthony Pretorius Silas Rutter combination had a win at Spa. So winners both, but right now a fair way down the order as they drop down towards turn 10. The pit window is going to close in 2 minutes, and then I suspect we're going to have the race neutralised to get this car out of the way. And there to the outside line goes Luchetti, and he tries to go all the way around the outside in that yellow flag zone. That's marginal. He would have been in the right place on the outside for green, except that he ran off the racetrack, as you saw, went wide and got himself a little bit across the gravel on the outside line there. So Luchetti chancing his arm by doing that, I would have suggested, but it didn't work for him, as there Benedetto Strignano is trying to maintain his race lead, and he's just going to do it coming down towards turn 1 as he clears number 36. Then the car now taken over by Joseph Knott, and also there as well is 57, the Amaury Bonduelle now Sebastian Balthazar car. So it is going to be Strignano ahead, but a really good fight back on the pit stops there to put Joseph Knott into second place and very nearly the race lead as well, coming down towards turn 1. So we'll have a look at pit stop times and see whether or not that means that somebody either made a bad stop or was in some cases under on the pit stop time. Strignano's pit time was 1 minute 30.3. Of course, he did have to serve an extra 3 seconds anyway over the Oregon car, which is the double driver entry. And Joseph Knott's time was a 1:28.3. So yes, it's really there an illustration of the extra 3 seconds for being a soloist that went against, nearly went against the car of Benedetto Strignano, which is ahead of Knott, but I think has lost the lead to number 6 of Adam Patera now. That was the VSR car just ahead. So it's going to be Patera for VSR, fresh into the car, ahead of Strignano. Down they come towards turn 10. But if there is a gap between Patera and then Strignano, then that may well change soon if the race gets neutralised. So pit window, I reckon, is closed. Last few cars just leaving the pit lane. You have to be in before the window closes. You don't have to make the pit stop and be out before the window closes, just in. And they're rejoining the race. You can see the last few cars, including Alessio Ruffini now taking over from Milos Pavlovic. The incident between Garacci and Fraboni that's put this car in the gravel up at 12 is under investigation. That's Rodrigue Gillian rejoining, and Gillian dropping quite a long way down the order after Stéphane Lemere's good efforts early on, it seems. So the cars then turn down through turn 5, and there is the race leader, Adam Patera. So on the pit stops, that car that Paul Levette was behind the wheel of in the first stint, has taken over the lead by dint of a shorter pit stop by 3 seconds under the regulations. Strignano second, fighting on behind the Malaysian driver, winner at Monza. So now let's see what Strignano can do. He knows what the track is like, he knows what his car is like because he's been in it since the start. Patera trying to get himself up to speed. There is a 5-second penalty coming for track limit offences for Amaury Bonduel and Sebastian Balthazar's car. So Balthazar in it now and 9th after the stops, but the penalty is going to drop him even further down the order. There's number 13, which is now Stefan Guerin, having taken over from Georgi Dimitrov. So the yellow flags still show on its run up towards turn 12, and after having had that car there for a good 6 or 7 minutes, maybe the feeling is, well, drivers are so used to it, the yellow flags are covering it, we can leave it. There's no immediate decision, seemingly, to neutralise the race after all. There's another car on a final warning for track limits, and it is Adam Patera, the race leader. So if you get 4 strikes, then a penalty comes, and 3 is where Patera is. So Strignano can apply the pressure, force a mistake out of Patera. That mistake could be either running off the road or could be just exceeding track limits. Now, there's number 36, Josef Knopp at the wheel. Enzo Guaracci was involved in that incident up at turn 12, and Enzo Guaracci in the pit lane is talking with Dakota.
Contact with Patrick Ferroni. What happened in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it's a racing incident indeed, because we've been fighting for a couple of laps and he has been really aggressive, so it was a really strong fight with him, shoulder to shoulder. And in the end, he did a move that he shouldn't have done. He moved on the braking again and it finishes his race. So I'm really sorry for him, but I think it's a racing incident.
Thank you very much, Bessie. Let's see how you go.
A spin for Anthony Pretorius, and we are now getting the safety car after all. So safety car has been called. Anthony Pretorius having a moment down at turn 5 with a little bit of help from his friends. Bang, up the inside there. You could see wet number 74, that Dimitri Angelbert at the wheel. That's another one for the stewards to look at. But our second safety car interruption then, with 16 minutes on the clock. So this presumably is, after all, to get the car of Fraboni out of the way. And bad news if you're Adam Patera, because the gap that you had, and it was a modest one, has just disappeared, and Benedetto Strignano is going to be behind. Strignano, double-edged sword in the sense for him, because, OK, it now means that he's going to be closer on the resumption, but also will have fewer racing laps in which to do it. There are the leaders. Josef Knopp is in 3rd. I told you about the time penalty being given to Sebastian Balthazar. There's also one now to Alessio Ruffini for track limit offences, most of which, in fairness, have been triggered by Milos Pavlovic, I think, who did the first stint. He had more laps in the car, certainly. The track limits aren't reset after the pit stops. In a 50-minute race, you carry them all the way through. So a time penalty now goes to Ruffini. So that makes Stefan Guerin's life as the class leader even easier. There's the safety car, currently looking for the leaders, who are here. So the field pours downhill, and as it does so, there is Adam Patera, the Malaysian driver, the race leader. Benedetto Strignano behind him, and then in 3rd place it is Josef Knopp. Class is currently being led by Patera, by Stefan Guerin, by Pietro Perolini, and then also by Karim Auger, leading Lamborghini Cup. So there's a recovery vehicle now at turn 12, getting the car of Patrick Fraboni out of the gravel. Fraboni and his co-driver Giacomo Pedrini, winners at Paul Ricard, winners last time out at the Nürburgring as well. So there, number 34 is another of the Oregon fleet, now with Rosario Messina at the wheel. And 61 is the car that was started by Massimo Ciglia and is now Pietro Perolini at the wheel. and Massimo Ciglia, having done that first stint. Somebody else we can hear from while we've got this safety car. Dakota has managed to find Massimo Ciglia now down in the pit lane.
Now, Massimo, Peter's running first in class at the moment, so you must be pretty happy. Your stint was quite good. Did you have some pressure from behind from Piero Randazzo? What did you think?
A lot of pressure from behind. The start was not really good. I'm stuck in the group in the middle of the first corner. I've been pushed out in the escape road, so I lose 3 or 4 positions. I tried to recatch the group, and I did. So I left the car to Pietro in third in class. Then with the ballet of the pit stop, we gain some position, and now we are first. So,
what is it going to take for Peter to maintain his position on track during the restart? Do you think that's going to go well? Peter's obviously a very, very experienced driver and Lamborghini driver. Do you have faith in him?
Yes. I'm sure Pietro in the restart from safety car opened the door to keep the position.
In bocca al lupo, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Pietro Parolini leading his class from Stefan Tribodini. The margin is a notional 1.3 seconds as there the safety car accelerates its way through the traffic, picks up the leader, and third place Josef Knopp, 10-second penalty for causing a collision. Now that is Luciano Privitello, who has spun under the safety car conditions. That tends to go down really badly in race control. So Luciano Privitello rejoins by going through the gravel, but he has no option with the lock on the car. So that is Knopp third, and he cops the penalty that Garacci triggered by nerfing off Fraboni. So third on the road, but a 10-second penalty this one gets for causing a collision. Racing incident, said Garacci. Stewards disagree. So over the line goes Josef Knopp, and Enzo Garacci, remember, was fighting with Patrick Fraboni, skimmed the back of the car, turned it around. Safety car then goes through. Now the safety car does not have its lights on as yet. Here's the replay. This is where the penalty is coming from, and it was never alongside, it was never his corner. Garacci basically in the back of Fraboni, turned him around, put him out of the race. 10-second penalty is the net result. Now we are under full safety car conditions because the safety car has found the leader, the lights are on, and there's another penalty coming, and it is to 99, Anthony Pretorius. He's had a spin, but he's also being given a 5-second penalty for causing a collision. So the stewards are standing no messing, are they, in all of this? Penalties being dished out for contact, and with pretty short decision-making times as well. There is Stefan Guerin, who in the CMR entry, the classic modern racing car, is leading in Pro-Am, as is rather the pattern this year. He and Georgi Dimitrov having had 4 wins back-to-back, 2 of which were overall, and then another win at Spa in the summer. So they're looking for win number 6 out of all of this. Safety car in this lap, so we are almost back ready to go racing. 10 minutes on the clock, and it's Patera versus Strignano here. But with Patera having to be very careful about track limits, he's on his last warning. Right, we heard on the grid from Elias de la Torre. Let's hear from Elias de la Torre once more, because Dakota has caught up with him after, what did he gain? 15 places on the first lap.
Right, Elias, safety cars coming in this lap, so I'll make it very, very quick. 19 places you made up in your first stint ever in Super Trofeo Europe. I mean, how proud are you of yourself and to be here for the first time?
Yeah, it was just a really good start. The car was also very good. It just all came together at the right moment. They left the inside open in turn 1, so I figured I'd go a little bit in the grass to be able to make it by, and it ended up working. And then we worked our way out throughout the first lap, and we came out a bunch of places ahead and just kept chipping away at it to come in and whatever place we did and give Ethan a really good car, and hopefully he can put it all together to give us a good finish at the end.
We're going to see now on the screen up there. Let's see what Ethan can do. Fingers crossed.
So Elias de la Torre then has now given that car over to Ethan Brown, and the green flag is waved on the start line with just over 9 minutes to go. This is the fight for the win. It's Adam Patera versus Benedetto Strignano. The car third of Josef Knopp cops a time penalty, and it's going to be really hard for him now, with only 9 minutes to go, to make out 10 seconds over many cars. Then there's a change about to happen. Look for 4th place, as diving up the inside there goes Sebastian Balthazar to gain ground. Also, that was Formanek going ahead of Alessio Ruffini. Number 10 dropping a little bit further back as well in the queue is Guido Luchetti on that restart. So, real shuffle at the restart as Patera leads Strignano, who is absolutely on his toes. Benedetto Strignano can smell a race win here, and he's all over the back of Adam Patera as they come through turn 4. Josef Knop, when you add the 10 seconds with everybody tightly packed right now, is going to tumble down the order. Downhill they go then through the left-hander of turn 5, and is Adam Patera stretching the margin as off the road there with a problem goes what looked like being Luchetti for a moment, but let's just double check in the order. But certainly one car had been roughed up. May have been a little bit further back in the pack. We'll check as the leaders come by then. And there is now 57 of Sebastian Balthazar. Now he's got a penalty for track limits, 5 seconds, battling with a car that's got a 10-second penalty for causing a collision. So the two penalised drivers together, and Balthazar sends it up the inside into turn 10. And that rather opens up the door as well there. Look for number 70, which is Ethan Brown, carrying on Elias de la Torre's good work. Well, he's going to gain 2 places here, isn't he, as long as he keeps out of trouble, because they both got penalties. So the car that started on 25th on the grid could end up being 3rd. Coming out of turn 13, there's the fight for 3rd, 4th, 5th on the road. The race leaders are getting away up front, and it's still Patera with the advantage. Now the track limit warnings for all cars have been reset, so that gets Patera out of jail free. So track limit warnings have been reset with 7 minutes on the clock, just over. Now he's got another 3 opportunities rather than being on a final warning. So interesting that that's been done as into turn 1 they dive. There, Formanek goes to the inside to try to get past Stefan Guerin, and this is for the class lead now. Guerin, Formanek and Engelbert nose to tail for Pro-Am honours. Stefan Guerin has got to make that car very wide. Of the 3 here, Dimitri Engelbert is probably the quickest. He's certainly the more experienced. So let's see what he can do. He and Anthony Nara have not yet had a win, surprisingly, in Pro-Am this season. And they're also joining the party, number 2. That's the car that has now been taken over by Renault Coupens from Hugo Back. They have been class winners this year, so Pro-Am is getting very lively indeed. On the back of all of this was the number 10 entry, I think it was, Guido Luchetti. So he was not the one that slowed earlier on. But right now, for the race lead, they could barely be closer. Adam Patera just ahead of Benedetto Strignano, nose to tail then as they come up through turn 9. Strignano trying to work out where he can make that move. He's a little bit wide, certainly coming out of turn 9, and he's just picked up a track limit warning for it. The Privitellios are under investigation for a pit stop infringement. The leaders dive down to the end of the straight. That's Paul Levert looking on. His co-driver, Adam Patera, leads the way, but he's under huge pressure now. A huge attack being offered up to him by Benedetto Strignano, who led up to the pit window. That longer stop because of a solo driver cost him the race lead, and he's trying to rebuild and get back ahead as another one is in the gravel, and it's Holger Halmsen this time who's had a spin. So that's a second spin of the race for Holger. The first one he rather triggered by bouncing off another car. He's in the gravel again as the leaders come by. Paul Levert trying to be chippered up by the team. The Privitellios, number 8, we saw Luciano have a spin. They've also got a 1-second penalty for a short pit stop. Leaders go by. 0.3 of a second it is between Patera and Strignano. Balthazar is now up to 3rd on the road from Knop, and then Ethan Brown 5th. And here's your Pro-Am fight with the leading 4 absolutely as one then. It is Guerin from Formanek, Engelbert from Coupens. And then behind all of them, it is Guido Luchetti, and then Mons Tarlin in number 44 going through. 61 is Pietro Perolini, and Stefan Tribodini right on his tail as well. So that's the AM class lead, which could barely be any closer. To the inside line, there goes Mons Tarlin. Can't quite find a way up the inside of Guido Luchetti's car. And you can see also in the background the Oregon entry with the pink front, the car of Pietro Perolini having to be made really wide to keep Stefan Tribodini at bay. Coming now out of turn 5, dropping down the hill. So great battle going on in Pro-Am, and Engelbert not making progress and losing a place as up the inside line goes Renault Coupens. So Coupens goes by, nice move that. Trying to fight back on the inside is Dimitri Engelbert, and here's Guido Luchetti in the Pro Cup, trying to go around the outside with Tallinn right on his tail. For the race lead then, it's still Patera, but only just. The clock has 4 minutes still on it as a big send to the inside by Luchetti comes to nothing as well. Still on his tail is number 44, Mons Tarlin. And then behind the pair is Pietro Perolini. I think out of all of this, Trofeo has dropped back a little bit in the queue, but the margins will be confirmed at the end of the lap. Parolini goes through, and it is now going to be Adrian Lewandowski, the nearest opposition. Lewandowski, number 5, has come up to challenge him. Indeed, that's why we've lost Trofeo. Leaders go by. 2 more laps for Patera and Strignano, 4/10 of a second between them. In fairness, Patera has steadied the ship. He's been able to maintain that modest gap, and now he's settled down a little bit, if you like, and is going to, I think, be pretty hard to dislodge from that. Try as Benedetto Strignano might. For Pro-Am, it's still Stefan Guerin kind of doing the same thing, even though he's had that scare of Fomanek arriving on his tail. He too has been able to fend him off for another lap. It's not a big gap, far from it. In the AM contest, Parolini versus Lewandowski, the margin between them was a second, and in Lamborghini Cup, Karim Moget has got a car between himself, or he did have, between himself and Claude-Yves Gosselin. But the car in question is Egor Orodchev, who is very quick, so he might well have got past. There is, to the inside line, Renaud Kuppens looking for a way past Bronek Fomanek. Fomanek not doing much about Stefan Guerin, but Renaud Kuppens wants a second-class win of the year here, and he's really going for it then, isn't he, in the car run by the Boots and VDS team. Go back to the late 1990s. Renaud Kuppens, a regular in the FIA GT Championship with Bas Linders in the Gillett Vertigo. Through the right-hander they come, and a 30-second time penalty now being given to Philip Tang for not respecting the safety car procedure. So Kuppens trying to defend from Enjolbert, trying to unsettle their Fomanek as they drop into turn 10. Race leaders coming through with a lap to go, possibly 2 more laps to go. They might even be able to squeeze 2 out of it, looking at the clock. So the leaders come through there. Number 61 is still Pietro Parolini, the AM leader. That's Fomanek, and with the clock having 2 minutes on it. Yeah, 2 more laps now. I was getting ahead of myself. Patera goes by, Strignano behind him, and the margin is down fractionally to 0.348. Then the penalised Balthazar ahead of the penalised Knop, and then Ethan Brown is next up, and he, I think, is going to inherit third. There is Stefan Guerin, who is leading in Pro-Am, and then you can have a look at the pink-fronted car, the first of those 2 pink-fronted cars of Pietro Parolini leading in AM there. But right up behind him now is Adrian Lewandowski. The margin from a second has come down to 6/10, so that is still up for grabs. So it's all up for grabs pretty much, Pro-Am and AM. As far as Lamborghini Cup is concerned, they're now in order. There are no cars between Karim Moget and Claude-Yves Gosselin, but there are now 6 seconds between them. So that does take some of the pressure off Karim Moget, as their number 10, Guido Luchetti, keeps Mans Tallinn at bay. Down to turn 5. Change for the lead of the class. Fomanek dives to the inside there. There was a bit of contact against Stefan Guerin, but I think Fomanek has done it. Yes, he has. Bronek Fomanek takes over the lead of Pro-Am. Stefan Guerin tries to fight back. Enjolbert's all over the back of Renaud Kuppens in the background. Guerin sliding out of turn 7. He's got the inside coming out of 8, but then Kuppens tries to attack him on the inside as well, and all of that's going to give Fomanek the chance to get away. Through they turn once more. Down now towards turn 10. Penultimate lap of the race. Guerin has to go defensive. That gives Fomanek a free ride. There's Enjolbert to the inside of Kuppens. Then Renaud Kuppens opens the door a little bit to give room to Enjolbert. Tries to brave it out on the outside and stays ahead. Luchetti joins the party as well in the Pro Cup car. He's on the outside line. Enjolbert up the inside and all up the curb and up the grass. Luchetti goes right round the outside of him. Brave stuff. Kuppens hangs onto his place. Luchetti gains 1 spot, but it doesn't do him any good in terms of points because they're Pro-Am cars and he's in Pro. Onto the last lap go the race leaders. 0.356 of a second between Patera and Strignano, who's running out of ideas now. Their new Pro-Am leader. Bronek Fomanek goes through. Still being chased by Stefan Guerin, but Guerin having to go defensive as now Enjolbert defends from Mans Tallinn as they come down to the braking zone. And there's another challenge against Lewandowski. Look in the background. That was Messina trying to get in on the act as well. Messina in another of the Pro Cup cars out of the Oregon stable. Didn't work. There he is, Rosario Messina now trying to fend off the challenge of Stefan Trofeo, and then it's Egor Orodchev up behind him. So one of the more dramatic races we've had in the championship this year, and it ain't done yet then with the classes all bunched up in this final third. Through they turn, out of turn 4, ready to drop down the hill again. It is then Adam Patera, race leader. There, Renaud Kuppens gets past Stefan Guerin and to the inside line tries to duck Guido Luchetti, not able to do it. So now Guerin forced back down to third in class. That safety car late race has really hurt their chances, but they power on. make that climb up the hill once again, then on towards turn 9. Checkered flag at the ready this time around, and it looks as though Adam Patera is going to be able to hang on in there for a second victory of the season. It's going to be a good return to the championship for his co-driver Paul Levet, and Benedetto Strignano so near and yet so far. It's going to be on pole position for tomorrow's race, so let's see what he can do. But Patera is going to bring them home. He leads. Strignano way out wide over the curb. Last corner, last chance, can't do it. And so up towards the line, Adam Patera is going to score a second win of the year in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe under huge pressure. Adam Patera, Paul Levet win. Second goes to Benedetto Strignano. Solo driver. Third on the road, Sebastian Balthazar and Anne-Marie Monduel. Fourth on the road, Josef Knopp and Enzo Garacci. Fifth on the road, but I reckon third on corrected time, Ethan Brown and Elias de la Torre. What a drive from 25th on the grid. And then in Pro-Am, Formanek wins it. Kuppens takes second. Engelbert third. He jumps ahead of Guerin right at the very end and pushes Stefan Guerin and Georgi Dimitrov off the podium. So a very happy Stefan Rossina, celebrating the class win there with the Ichanek Motorsport team. And a really dramatic end to the race. Pietro Perolini hangs on to win. Karimojé hangs on to win Lamborghini Cup. So really, really good race. And Adam Patera and Paul Levet are the victors. They will make their way back round to the pit lane and then to the podium. Benedetto Strignano taking second place and waiting for the penalties to be applied before we can confirm third, but I reckon on corrected time it is going to be Ethan Brown and Elias de la Torre. Pro-Am, Bronick Formanek from Renault Kuppens and then Dimitri Engelbert as they cross the line. Am was Pietro Perolini from Adrian Lewandowski and Stefan Tribodini as they cross the line. Karimojé fending off Claude-Yves Gosselin and Adalberto Baptista within the Lamborghini Cup. So we'll wait for these penalties to be added in, and then we can confirm a result. But a really good race, lots to talk about, lots of battling going on, quite a few incidents, hence the penalties, not just for contact, but also track limits. There's a very happy Bronick Formanek. He and Stefan Rossina having claimed the GT2 European Series title already this year, and now coming back, or certainly in the case of Bronick Formanek, coming back into Super Trofeo, and with more cars on the grid, having a tough race, that's for sure. So there's the winning car. Down the pit road comes Adam Patera, and with Paul Levet having missed the Nürburgring, they're on different points, of course, but a really good drive by both. And in fairness to Adam Patera, he had to worry about the safety car, the restart, and all the pressure from Strignano, but didn't crack under the pressure. A job well done. There, the winners. So there is a very happy Adam Patera, a relieved Adam Patera, I suspect, with Paul Levet joining him. And there, Stefan Rossina leaps over the barrier to go and find Bronick Formanek. Right, there are our winners, Adam Patera and Paul Levet. And Dakota is down there with them both.
Congratulations, guys. Adam, the pressure at the end. Oh, my God, we were watching with finger-biting nails. Paul had full confidence in you, though. How does it feel to be a winner in Super Trofeo Europe?
Yeah, extremely happy. Can't complain. The car was good. The other car was putting pressure on me in the last few laps, but I managed to keep cool, you know. I'm just really happy, really, really happy.
And obviously happy to be back with your teammate, Paul. Paul, you absolutely smashed it out of the park. It was a really good race for you.
Smashed out, I don't know, but I did my best as always. I think the start was pretty clean. I did my best with what I have in the hands, and that's the best thing you can get from a racing driver. And in the end, we are first for my comeback. Not racing at Nürburgring was terrible for me. And to come back with a win is the best way to do it. And yeah, it proves that I'm one of the best for sure.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, guys. Same tomorrow, right?
Well, I'll say very happy Adam Patera and Paul Levet. Good to have him back in the championship. And as he says, coming back with a win is the best way. So super slow-mo of the VSR car, victorious here. It looks as though even allowing for the 5-second penalty, Sebastian Balthazar and Amaury Bonduelle have kept third, so 4th place in the end, going to Ethan Brown and Elias de la Torre. But for Josef Knopp and Enzo Guaracci, they fall to 7th with that penalty. But I'm not convinced yet that the penalty has been applied to 57. Right, let's get back down to the pit lane, Dakotas, with more of our class winners.
Stefan Rosina, congratulations, a win in Pro-Am. Now, Bronislav made a huge dive there for the end. Were you confident that he was going to finish in first?
Well, obviously I'm confident in him. We are driving together for 2 years and we have always finished the race. Nevertheless, I'm super proud. So, you know, he did drive very well. For us, we didn't really test here, so we are really surprised and we are very happy. So thanks to the Michanek Motorsport Broniek, because today was simply fantastic for us.
Now, I also understood from your team manager that you are, in fact, the 2025 GT2 champions for Lamborghini. Thank you very much, and I guess it's been a really good day today.
Yeah, thank you. It's unbelievable. What is happening with together, what we are experiencing, it's unbelievable. We are very happy.
Thank you very much. Let's go join your teammate.
So there is Stefan Rosina, the team of Michanek Motorsport operated that car. So yes, a championship won by Lamborghini elsewhere, as I say, in the GT2 European Series. They won that in Valencia, last event out. So there is the car of Bronek Formanek and Stefan Rosina, taking the category win, and doing so with that very frantic last few laps of the race, but a job well done. So, provisional result, Paul Levette and Adam Patera are the race winners, from Benedetto Strignano, with Amaury Bonduelle and Sebastian Balthazar taking third provisionally. 4th to Elias de la Torre and Ethan Brown, from Bronek Formanek and Stefan Rosina winning in Pro-Am, Renaud Kuppens and Hugo back in 6th. The penalty for Guaracci and Knopp dropping them to 7th. The winning AMS, Massimo Ciglia and Pietro Perolini, and the winning Lamborghini Cup entry, Karim Moget, in 17th place. Now there you can see quite a few non-finishers, including Anthony Pretorius and Silas Rutter after their dramas, and of course we lost Patrick Fraboni, who ended up in the gravel. So let's look at the best bits of the first Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe race of the weekend here in Barcelona. It was a good start made by Enzo Guaracci. Had to squeeze Paul Levette a little bit towards the grass, but then both he and Amaury Bonduelle ran wide. Guaracci was always going off the road, and Bonduelle on his outside had nowhere to go. Off the road as well went Georgi Dimitrov and others, and it meant that through to lead the race from the 3rd row of the grid was Benedetto Strignano. He was able to get ahead of Paul Levette as they went through turn 4. There were some good battles going on lower down the order as well, as Stefan Rosina was involved in a big battle with Elias de la Torre, who had an amazing first lap, gaining 15 places. Holger Harmsen bounced off the side of Donovan Privatello, others scattered, and it wasn't long before we had an interruption to get a car out of the gravel. And then more drama when Paolo Biglieri bounced off Shodrov Kazaba's car and caused a puncture to the Georgian driver's entry. There into the pit lane, as the pit window opened, came number 34. Pit stops all cycling through, and then the drama for 2nd place kicked off. Patrick Fraboni being tagged by Enzo Guaracci into the gravel, and out of the race went Fraboni, and that would trigger a 2nd safety car after the pit window. On the restart, it was all eyes on Pro-Am as Bronek Formanek wriggled his way past Alessio Ruffini, who had been leading courtesy of Milos Pavlovic, and the battle raged on in the category. Another spin, another drama. Around went Mons Tallinn. And then we had Formanek make his dive to the inside of Stefan Guerin, and he took over the class lead. Up front, Adam Patera was able to just fend off Benedetto Strignano. A 2nd win of the season for Adam Patera and Paul Levette in Super Trofeo Europe. So the winning drivers onto the podium, where the top three provisionally, Sebastian Balthazar and Amaury Bonduel from third place, Benedetto Strignano second, and Adam Patera and Paul Levet are going to be on that top step. So there, the winning drivers with the Hankook caps ready for the trophies to be presented. And there they are. Federico Tenegi, who has been the long-time coordinator of Super Trofeo, now of racing events for Lamborghini Squadra Corsa, hands over the awards. There for Adam Patera and Paul Levet. Every year you get another intake of very quick young guns into Super Trofeo, some joining the Lamborghini Young Driver program, others coming Lamborghini junior drivers, and then the long-term aim to become Lamborghini factory drivers as well. Everyone huddles together on that top step. And there we have the Pro Cup podium. There are 4, of course, podium per class, and we'll have then the Pro-Ams to step forward very shortly. So a really good result for the VSR team, Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, the team represented on the podium, and now with the champagne ready to go, one or two decide it's really time to scatter. So there, they're very happy, Paul Levet, Amaury Bonduel and Sebastian Balthazar joining up for third place provisionally and getting together really as a bit of a test run for the World Finals next month. Sebastian Balthazar not having raced since the World Final event in Jerez last year. And there the drivers making their way off the podium, Amaury Bonduel with the different boots. And with another race to come tomorrow, that's going to shuffle the championship situation. Thus, it narrows the margin between Knopp and Geraci against Adam Patera. Then Luchetti third. Paul Levet, having missed a race through budgetary concerns, down to 4th ahead of Fraboni and Pedrini, tied on points, but he's now had an equal number of wins. Jerzy Spinkovic out certainly for this weekend with a destroyed car. Anthony Pretorius and Silas Rutter not scoring, and Benedetto Strignano's second place, putting him now 8th in Pro. So now the Pro-Am drivers making their way out onto the podium. There's Renaud Coupens in the background, congratulating the opposition of Dimitri Angelbert and Anthony Nara. There, the distinctive Bronek Formanek and Stefan Rossina. Out they come. And Dimitri Angelbert and Anthony Nara for third place. The champagne almost sprayed in advance there by Rossina and Formanek. Delighted with that win, and a really good drive it was by Bronek Formanek late race to take the lead of the class. So there are the winning drivers, and in a moment their trophies will be presented, and then the champagne will no doubt spray. So champagne sprayed. Federico Tenegi not quite out of the way quick enough there, and gets a soaking as a result. And then the drivers will pose for group photographs, and then we should be good for completion of the second of the 4 podiums. So Bronek, Formanek and Stefan Rossina late into the championship, if you like, but going well. So in the Pro-Am, Stefan Guerin and Georgi Dimitrov ahead in the category, but Hugo Back and Renaud Kuffens are getting a little bit closer, but it's still possible that Guerin and Dimitrov might be able to sew it up in advance of the final weekend of the season in Misano. Another race to come tomorrow, more drama from Super Trofeo to look forward to tomorrow morning. Join us for that if you can. They will be on track at 11:40 local time. We'll see you tomorrow.